Good day, everyone, and welcome to Guitar Muse. I am your rugged, ravishingly, steadily, swashbuckling host, the Smitchens, and as you can see on that wondrous little screen before you, we've gotten our grimy little mitts on a Line 6 Pod HD in the Bean model. How about that? Subtle segue to pros and cons. Alright, the Bean Pod is an expansion beyond the HD floor pods, and seamless improvements have been made. So you can expect the same quality of sound that you got out of the floor pods, but there are some new features to this one, which we're going to get into later, that allow you to really tweak it and make it about as in-depth as you want to. So that's a lot of fun. If an XLR input is something that you look for, here we have the return of one. The floor HD pods didn't have one, but this does, so that's a big plus. And out of the box, you plug it in and you start tweaking. It's very easy to get the gist of. I did have to consult a manual for a few things, easy enough to follow, and this kind of makes for a good segue into the cons, because some of those new features, some of those different features I mentioned, there can be a little bit of a learning curve to them. So, you know, the more in-depth you want to make it, the more learning you have to sort of suffice through. Now, I don't really know how much experience from previous Bean lines will translate over to this, so you know, I'm kind of shooting from the hip. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, but nothing painful, I wouldn't say. Although one thing that I would have liked to have seen is I would have liked to have seen a metronome in this. It has everything but the kitchen sink, as the saying goes, but no metronome. And the built-in looper, I would have liked to have seen a metronome accompany that, or at least a 4-count click before it starts recording. You can plug a floor pedal into this, and I think that will have an effect on how the looper controls. So it'd be less of a concern if you didn't have to use up a hand, but you know, pushing the button with your hand and then coming back to the neck and playing before it starts recording. You know, it's a bit of a juggling act, and it can be cumbersome to get used to. Speaking of the floorboards. Older lines of floorboards aren't compatible. The Line 6 floorboard and the FBV2, not compatible. If that's all you have to work with, sorry, got to update. And something that kind of surprised me was there's no L6 jack on this. The floor pods had it, but this one isn't. The L6 jack gives them a proprietary matrimonial bond with other, like Line 6 amps and what have you, but this particular device does not get that feature, sad to say. But enough of that. Let's talk in depth about the anatomy of this thing. Okay, let's start with the jacks. Bottom right over here, we got the input, and then we have headphones. Over here we have a power switch, and then a power input. XLR right here. SPDIF, USB 2.0, FPV, left and right, out, mono, and stereo. Now, most of the big knobs all control the amp. Drive through presence. As you tweak them, it brings up the screen and it shows how you're tweaking the amp. Me, I'm screwing it up right now. The tweak knob controls a number of things. You can set it to control whatever you want. It controls various parameters of the amp or a given effect. More on that later. Master control controls the volume of the unit overall. Now these buttons down at the bottom have different purposes. The tap controls your tap tempo and delay effects and anything that regards, well, tempo. Hold it, typical Line 6 fashion, brings up the tuner. Push it again, welcome back. Now the up and down arrows over here will cycle through the various banks. There are, in a given set list, there are 16 banks, and you can just cycle through them easily enough here. And then there's A through D in each one, so there's a plethora of presets, and you just select A through D, whichever one you want. This knob will also cycle through, and if you push this button down, the preset button, or knob, I'm sorry to say, I guess it is a button too, that'll bring you up to the list of the presets, the preset banks, the set lists as it's called. So there is plenty of storage space in this thing. Now, these knobs here control a lot of things, too. Oh, before I get too far, I almost forgot. Hold the down arrow. That takes you to the looper screen. This is where you control all the loopers. All of the buttons are labeled for their secondary purpose. Very self-explanatory. Undo, record, play and stops, half speed, and reverse. Push again, welcome back again. Alright, now onto these knobs. Below, at the bottom half of the screen, you can see the effects, details on the effects or the amp. And it's labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the left and right. Each knob is 1 through 4 left to right, and they control whichever parameter it's assigned to. So knob 1 is going to control the type of effect that's at a given slot. You use the D-pad over here to scroll through the pedal chain, and knob number 1 to input whatever type of pedal you want. And there's quite a selection. I'm going to go with reverb. Number 2 will affect the type of whatever number 1 is. So if it's reverb, it'll give you different types of reverbs. Room, chamber, hall, spring, what have you. 3 assesses the various parameters of reverb, like, decay, pre-delay, tone, what have you. And knob number 4 will tweak whatever you have number 3 set at. So that's how you kind of shape the tone. Enter, as is typical line 6 fashion, turns push once, turns a given effect on-off, double push, brings you to this screen where you can see all the parameters of a given effect at once. You tweak them just the same as you did beforehand, but it gives you a different view if you're more comfortable with it this way. Simple enough. Now the move button, you push it, and you can move things from one place to another within your pedal chain with the D-pad. I'm kind of blocking it with my hand, sorry, trying not to. I'm going to put it right there. Now if you double push it, it brings you to this page, which is where the tweak knob comes in actually. You can select various parameters of the given effect or amp if you have it selected. And you can basically pick your parameter here. I'm going to have tone selected for argument's sake. With parameter 2, you can select which controller, or the tweak knob, you want to toggle it. 3 and 4 will control the range of effect that knob will have on the given effect. So right now, at minimum, the tweak knob can affect the hall's tone down to 50%, at a max 80%. And the save button, right there, pretty self-explanatory. You do your tweaking, you save, you pick where it is. There's plenty of hard drive space, storage space, whatever. Already showed you that. Push any other button to cancel out. Now the view button, you just push it a couple times and you can sort of get details on various presets. As you can see, you hold it, and this is where a lot of the real in-depth work can come in. If you don't know what you're expecting, I recommend the manual for all this. There's 6 pages in here, and some of them can be a little bit confusing. So we'll start with the easiest first, because that's how I roll. Page number 6 will give you basic tempo controls. Then 5 will get you the SPDIF controls. 3 and 4 will be input and output. As you select your output, it'll give you additional parameters to toy around with. And input basically controls your input, be it through the guitar input or the microphone input. Page number 2 controls a little bit of customizable things. The contrast of the LCD screen or the AC frequency. Now that's a nifty little feature because that allows you to control the frequency of the tube simulation between 50 hertz and 60 hertz to kind of simulate more of a tube versus more of a British tube versus a US tube sound. And and page 1 will give you access to looper controls and foot switch controls, activating all that stuff. So there you go. Clearly there's a lot to it. That's a pretty good solid tip of the iceberg. And it's a lot of fun to toy around with. It's a lot more fun than it is to talk about the setup page, I'll say that much. So, yeah. I give it 2 rock-hard thumbs up. Why not? You know, when I cracked this thing open, I started tweaking with it. It had one inspector written all over it. Inspector 6CD667. Or whoever that is. I recognize that terrible handwriting anywhere, and I know it's him. So, you're doing a stellar job, Inspector.